everybody, it's me, Catie. Welcome back to Catie and Eric's Infinite Quest for Attention. The video that you're watching is actually last week's episode featuring Carly, ADHaDult on TikTok. We ran into some file issues, and so we are reposting this episode. And then this week's episode for October 29th will come out tomorrow on Friday. So sorry for the delay, but thank you for your patience. We are learning, we are growing, and we are all in this together. Speaking of that, if you are interested in supporting us, there are a few ways that you can do that. Number one, we do have a Patreon, both for the podcast, and Eric and I have our own individual Patreons as well. We also have merch in our Redbubble shops. All of that information is posted below. But the number one best way, the best way that you can support us, it does not cost you anything, and that is to just give us a review, leave us a couple of stars on your podcast platform of choice. We are very excited to say that we are now available wherever you listen to podcasts, which is huge for us. We're so excited. And as we watch this kind of little flame grow into something bigger, we really appreciate your support. And so if you could do that for us, we'd be super grateful, because word of mouth is the best way to let people know that we're out here and we're existing and we're doing something that we're really, really proud of. So we would appreciate your support if you are able and willing to get it. And without further ado, here comes episode 3, Transition. I can't click my pen. It's going to pick up with my fancy new microphone. I just realized I can't touch anything the whole time, or it's going to pick up. Now I'm very stressed.
No, dude, you can. I can edit it. We can cut it out. Doesn't matter at all.
Oh, wait. It's like just, but then the whole time it's just going to be like.
Yeah, you can be like clicky, clicky, clacky.
Behind me.
I need to figure out what I'm going to fiddle with. That reminds me.
I need like silent. Oh, this is quiet.
Where the heck? Oh, there it is.
This is really quiet. I can just play with this. I'm still so mad that I didn't know that there were fucking fidget toys for picking until literally yesterday.
Oh yeah, you made a video about that. I did. Well,
We did.
This is podcast content we're wasting.
We're
here.
recording podcast. We're literally making the podcast right now.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that. I just pressed all those buttons. And I was like, no, the content. I can see it slipping away.
Welcome to Catie and Eric's Infinite Quest for Attention. That's the opener. Like, we just made the opener for her.
No, I just forgot. I clicked all those buttons.
Save it for the podcast while we're recording the goddamn podcast.
I know. I have to figure out what I'm going to fiddle with. And gosh, my computer fan is so loud. My computer, that's why I have to get a new laptop, because I'm pretty sure that my computer is about to explode. Like, it's so bad. And I've taken it apart, and I've cleaned out the fan, and I've cleaned out all the dust or whatever, but it's just on its last legs. Not great. Alienware sponsor our podcast. Somebody come get her. That's stuck in my head, by the way. I'm sending it to Carly on Discord.
My headphones are squishing my glasses into my ears, and now my ears hurt.
My name's Catie.
My life is so hard. I have sensory processing difficulties, you asshole.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God, my senses are...
Oh, my God, my computer fan, man. I'm freaking out about my computer fan.
Mine is going to be in the background of mine. I've just acquiesced to the
These are all problems. These are problems that people are going to enjoy watching us.
My stool doesn't have a back. And so I just squirm for the entire, that's all I do. I just squirm.
Oh, Catie, shut up. Carly's in the, sorry. Carly's in the waiting room. Okay. Great. I'm about to let Carly in, and I'm excited, and I'm nervous, and it's going to be great. It's going to be so good. It's going to be,
just take a deep breath. Here we go.
It's going to be so good.
Podcast episode 3.
Podcast episode 3.
Here we go.
Carly!
Hi!
Hello!
Hooray!
We did it!
Everything worked. Everything worked on the first try. What a good and glorious day. This is amazing. I'm so pumped. I really didn't think we were going to pull it off.
I know.
I got a new microphone. Oh my God!
You both have fancy microphones.
It was a flex. We're like, let's make Carly as nervous as possible. Let's be like, look at our microphone. I'm wearing these ear pods instead of my big floppy headphones, because I was like, Catie and I can't both be wearing big floppy headphones.
I do have big floppy headphones.
You can put them on if you want. It's up to you.
They might be worse. They're very old. It was back in my Dota days when I would play online games.
You do whatever makes you feel comfortable. That's what you should do. And this looks very fancy from the front, but what you can't see is the literal Korean face mask that is propped up against the boom to make it not move. Like, I'm not a fancy person. This
very professional.
Did you say Korean face mask?
Yeah, it's a Korean.
Don't move it. Your whole thing's going to fall.
No, I have two. This is an amateur hour. I have a backup Korean face mask to hold my microphone boom in place. Eric?
Everybody send Catie more Korean face masks.
I love Korean face masks.
She only has two.
Is there a difference between Korean face masks and non-Korean face masks? What makes them so special?
I don't know, but they're like a whole beauty trend. And one of my friends got me an Ipsy bag for Christmas. And Ipsy is just like Korean face mask, Korean face mask, Korean face. Like, it's just like they always put one in there.
I have a bunch of masks from Ipsy. I guess they're probably Korean.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a whole genre of beauty product. I feel like I should educate myself more on what is the difference between a regular face mask and a Korean one. But I don't know. Apparently, they're really popular. What with the beauty influencers on the YouTube machine?
The booty gurus.
The booty gurus. I thought I was a booty guru. Oh, and please do keep talking about brands. Oh, yeah. Please keep talking about brands.
Like,
get that sweet sponsorship money.
Yeah, so while we're on the topic of ADHD, Carly, what shampoo do you use? Just weird question.
Get at it. Your hair does look, your head and shoulders. Your hair does look quite nice.
And our constant search for sponsorships is just us awkwardly horning in terrible, that was going to be really funny, and then I forgot how to talk. It's fine.
It's going to be in my gravestone. That was going to be so funny.
Oh, it was.
I use no shampoo, and I'm famous for my hair because my hair is awesome.
I tried the no poo method. I couldn't manage it. I got to 2 weeks, and I was like, it's still so greasy.
Excuse me, explain the words that just came out of your mouth. What?
Well, for one, when you said I tried the no poo method, I was going to say, have you tried prune juice? But then you used the word greasy, and it kind of broke the bit down. So, but I wanted you to know I had something for that.
I hate that. I hate everything about what you just said.
It's a poop joke. It's a poop joke. We're 7 minutes in, and it's a poop joke.
Off to a great start.
So, Carly, hey, thanks for being here on our super serious and professional podcast. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, yeah. That's right. We should probably do that kind of stuff. Oh, by the way, so your TikTok name is capital ADH, lowercase a, capital DULT, correct?
You got it. ADHaDult.
Yeah. Adult. So it's
okay. So it is ADHaDult.
Is that how people should refer to you? ADHaDult or ADHD adult?
I mean, I don't really care, but it's spelled ADHaDult, and that's how I've been saying it. But
ADHaDult.
I'm not mad either way.
Okay, I'm writing that down for the intro part.
Exactly. We were like, Catie came, so I was like, Catie and I were like, all right, let's meet. Let's join a little bit early to make sure we're not going to destroy all of this. And Catie, it seems like you wanted to record the intro right then.
Because it was because a lot of times because I go on a lot of podcasts and I talk about Shakespeare, right? And so
my name's Catie.
I'm so fancy. I'm so fancy. No,
I
but
was
a lot of times
America's Sexy Sex Stories.
I was. And actually I was totally copying Sunny. That was literally I was copying Sunny Megatron in that moment because that's what they because they record something before. She had something that she didn't say while we were talking, but then she was also like, hi, this is Sunny Megatron, and this is American Sex, and today we have Catie, and we're excited. And then I was like, hi, everybody. And then the podcast started. I thought that was a good idea. Now you're making fun of me for it, so I'm self-conscious. Eric! It's fine.
Good artists borrow, great artists steal, Catie. Right. Just remember.
Oh, my gosh.
So
that was the whole
Carly, how are you? How are you?
I am great today. I'm so excited to be here that it's just overwhelmed all of my stresses, and I'm just like, fun things, finally.
Yay!
Well,
I like your Christmas lights in the background.
Oh, thanks. It's because this room doesn't have an overhead light, so we hung up some Christmas lights in, classic student roommate fashion.
Yeah,
Nice.
That's a way of life in my household because I hate overhead lighting. So like,
Yeah.
I get it.
Christmas lights were like, no, Catie, no, please, Catie.
No, you go.
I was going to talk about the fact that I went to a really fancy boarding school. That's what I was going to talk about.
Wow.
Oh.
So
But
fancy.
no.
Did they
There'll be
allow
plenty of
Christmas
time.
lights were Christmas lights allowed in the Ravenclaw common room? Erik?
So, I need to read more things and become more versed in Harry Potter so I can destroy joke opportunities like that one. But today I'll watch them go by. No, Christmas lights were the best way to light your dorm room. Everybody wanted to have the dorm room that everybody hung out in, like after hours and stuff. And it took a little while to notice that it was Christmas lights. That was the secret. The way that Christmas lights lit the room just like subconsciously made everybody want to go there. And then you'd have the cool hangout room.
That or a lava lamp. I mean.
That or a lava lamp if it was 50 years ago. Yes.
I've never owned a lava lamp.
I had one growing up. I was clearly very cool.
Clearly.
Just don't ask anyone from my childhood to corroborate that.
I mean, I think that like there's like a special kind of cool that you have when you are ADHD. Like that, I genuinely think like there's like a special brand of cool that you find, but it's like it's not a childhood cool. Like you're not cool when you're a child, but it's like somewhere around like age like 20, you're like, okay, yeah, okay,
Peaking.
all right.
I'm peaking.
Like that's I genuinely feel that way. I feel like I was so not cool for so long. And then all of a sudden in like the mid, 2010s, everybody started loving LeVar Burton. And I was like, haha, vindication. Yes. Rainbow is cool.
How does LeVar Burton connect to you becoming cool?
Because when I was a kid, I used to get mercilessly made fun of for liking Reading Rainbow. And I fucking loved Reading Rainbow. I fucking love Reading Rainbow. Like, one of my goals in life is to meet LeVar Burton. And I was like, I was really liked LeVar Burton and Reading Rainbow. And then, like, now Reading Rainbow is cool. And everybody's like, yeah, LeVar Burton, like, he's a cool guy. He does Reading Rainbow. And I'm like,
is that because of Community, do you think?
I think maybe. I think maybe. It might be. But yeah, like, and so now like everybody's like hip to LeVar Burton, and I was like, bitch, I knew I was early on that train. It's fine.
Also, just like general nerdery has become cool now. Like,
yeah,
it's cool to have like neat interests and be into like D&D and Magic the Gathering and like stuff like that now.
So what are your fandoms? What is the things that you like?
Oh man, currently or like throughout my life, because it changes a lot, but.
I mean, just, whichever. You can give us the broad overview or the daily update. It's fine. Either way.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I played D&D and Magic the Gathering a lot in high school. I kept a couple MTG decks for some of my friends that still play. We play every now and then. But I don't go to, like, Friday Night Magic anymore because I'm not, like, a teenager with, like, disposable income to just pour into that friggin' expensive game. And just for a while I was obsessed with Dota 2, playing that awful
What does Dota stand for?
Yeah, what is that? Okay. What is that? Tell us about that. I don't know what that is at all.
Have you heard of League of Legends?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so it's like the main competitor for LoL.
Oh, okay. Okay.
LoL.
Really toxic community there. Just gotta say that. Absolutely toxic online community. It's
from what I've heard, it's not the best thing, but I'm bad at online games, so I don't I trust your opinion. You know more than me.
My brother plays
LoL,
guys, so
lately it's just
fucking watch it.
Huh?
Okay? My brother plays LoL, okay? You guys are talking shit about my brother here. So
your brother is online game?
My brother is online game. Yes. My brother, online game, TM. That's him. I was also experimenting with how quiet I can do. Can I like subtly? Because it works over here, but it doesn't work over here. We're going to cut all this out.
It doesn't work at all.
It doesn't work? Fuck.
No.
That's the whole element of comedy.
Completely interrupting the whole thing to be super awkward.
That's what I do. I'm the loose cannon, baby. I'm the wild card. That's what I do.
Oh god, that was so funny. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Okay, so we're gonna take that back. We're gonna cut all of that out. We're gonna pretend like that never fucking happened, Eric.
By the end of this, it's just gonna be Catie's Infinite Quest. We're gonna redact my name because I'll be every once in a while I'll have something useful to say, and the rest will just be me holding back burps and farts.
We'll just be less and less of you in every episode.
Exactly. I'll wear a red shirt every time, so when you kill me off, it makes sense. Star Trek reference. Kaboom.
But Eric, after TNG, the red shirts stopped being the people that were easily.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
This is the first time this has happened.
Oh
no! Catie cut out. Oh, Catie Bobady. Hey Carly, how's it going? Let's just let the internet figure this thing out.
Oh
no!
Hey!
You're
back.
You're back.
I froze just a drop. Oh, my internet connection is unstable. I don't like that.
Oh, well, that's what happens when you start talking shit about me.
Do you have Ethernet cord?
I know. I was like, I actually might go see. I don't know
mine in.
That's long enough. But let me go. Hold on. Eric, cover for me.
Jesus Christ! I drank coffee today. Like normally, I either take my med. Well, I always take my meds. But then, like, if I drink coffee as well, I have to be like, okay, now I'm drinking coffee, so be careful. Like, I have to drink 1 cup over the course of a day. But today, I didn't because I was doing podcast stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna drink all of this thing now, and now I'm making Catie's life very difficult, which is my favorite thing to do ever. So
I'm on cup number 2 of tea, so my cat cup.
Oh, gee. Do you feel it's sort of a chicken or the egg question. Do you feel better than everybody else and then say, oh, I drink tea? Or do you drink tea and then feel better than everybody else? How does it work?
It's just a kind of a general, all-encompassing superiority complex. No. No, I'm just obsessed with tea. I don't know. I think it's a Canadian company, so I don't think that you guys have it there. But speaking of sponsorships, David's Tea is just like the best thing
David's
ever.
Tea.
I think it's Canadian. Yeah, but like they have just like fancy teas with like this one has coffee beans in it. It's a tea that has coffee beans and candied pineapple and like a bunch of stuff, and somehow all of the weird combination things make it taste like a vanilla cappuccino, but it's tea.
Jesus, if only the 4,000 years ago Chinese culture could see us now. Like it tastes like a frappuccino.
Just completely bastardizing their
right. What concentration of coffee beans can a tea mixture have before it becomes, I guess, 50-50?
Before it's just coffee? Yeah.
Oh my God, let's do 50-50. Let's make a 50-50 brand. It'll be called Half and Half. And we'll sell that.
Coffee?
It'll be great. It'll be tea coffee. It'll be toffee. We'll call it toffee.
I refuse to participate in whatever abomination. No.
We're launching a brand of coffee tea.
Hey everybody.
We're gonna coin the phrase toffee.
Do you hate to choose between tea and coffee? Do we have news for you? We got wine drunk and invented coffee.
Catie, it's 3 p.m. for you. Are you okay? You're wine drunk?
No.
That's cool. Catie, your teeth are red. Come on.
I know, right? Joke's on you. I hate red wine. You'll never catch me. So the good news is that I found an Ethernet cable. The bad news is it's like 2 feet long, so it serves us no purpose. But I did bring it down as a hilarious prop. Next comedy.
Yeah, podcasts are great for visual comedy.
I love a good visual bit in a podcast. So
it was a blue Ethernet cable, just for.
So the joke was that I held a.
You swang in on it.
It was really cool. It was like some Errol Flynn shit that you have to. Although I suppose it is going to be on YouTube too, so technically speaking.
Yeah.
That
could work.
I probably overthought that bit.
So Carly, you have 3 degrees, 2 bachelors, and a master's. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So fancy.
I know you've told me before. What are they?
So my first one was a bachelor's of science in neuroscience and mental health. And then the second one was a master's in neuroscience. And then I completely changed my mind on what I wanted to do because I was going down like the research path. and then found out that research wasn't for me and decided I want to be a psychotherapist. But to get into the Master's of Counseling Psychology, I needed a Bachelor's of Psychology, not a Bachelor's of Neuroscience. So I went back and got a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology so that I could do that Master's. Even though like most of the courses were the same and they were all the same material, and I skated through that degree because I was like, I've done all of this. Why didn't my other degree count for that? But so now here I am on degree number 4.
That's amazing. Wow. First off, congratulations, because that's a shitload of hard work. Yeah, round of applause. So what made you want to switch? This like really interests me because I'm an academia nerd. Like I love me some research. So what made you want to switch over from research to the practicum? Is that the right fancy word?
Yeah, I have a practicum in my degree, but yeah,
what's a practicum?
Yeah.
Like the doing part of it.
The doing.
Oh, yeah. Like practice, like
practice.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was during my Master's of Neuroscience that I realized it, because my thesis was on depression and the gut microbiome, so like the bacteria that live in your digestive system and stuff like that. So I was working like one-on-one directly with participants, where they would come in, do a bunch of like different surveys and stuff, give me a fecal sample and a blood sample and stuff like that. So yeah, and I liked the like in-lab sciencey parts with the like pipetting and the like running analysis and stuff. That was all super fun. But I hated the writing part, and I hate the whole atmosphere of academia where it's like publish or die, like you're not going to be successful unless you publish, and you need to always be applying for grant applications and stuff like that. Like that's just so stressful, especially when I hate writing. So yeah, and I liked the like in-person part too. So I was like, well, why don't I just make a career out of the in-person part if I enjoy so much interacting with people and helping people? And that's why I changed my mind.
So I'm curious, not to turn this into an interview, but so the amount of
like you might find on a podcast,
like you might, let's make sure nobody thinks this is a legitimate thing. But like, so when you were talking about all the hoops that you had to jump through to get the paperwork, well, to, of course, to learn the things that you wanted to learn, but ultimately to, get the degrees that you needed, the pieces of paper that allowed you to progress in the direction that you wanted to progress. I am still in awe of your focus and motivation to go back and go, I've already taken these classes, but I needed such to take this other class. Like, that's why I could never do schools, because once that stuff started to happen, I was like, I screw all this, I'm out. So I'm just, it's interesting that like, it seems like the bureaucratic annoyingness of research, that was like so much like you being a person who already jumped through all these bureaucratic hoops. It was so much so in the research field that you couldn't handle it. So how do the people who do research in those fields handle it? Like,
just different blokes, different folks, I guess. Like, yeah, I've talked to like my friends that have continued along the research path, and they're like, yeah, I hate grant writing, but like it's a hazard of the job. And I'm like, I just can't picture that being my life, like constantly having to worry about funding and like ethics approvals and like all of this paperwork and this like writing. It's really the writing that I just don't want to write that much for the rest of my life forever.
How did it feel to like have an idea? Like presumably you're studying, I mean, I imagine the reason that somebody as wonderful and good-hearted as you would study neuroscience and all that stuff would be to overall like to do useful and helpful work. So was it all? How did it feel to perhaps have something that needs funding and then have to go like sell that idea, like all of a sudden switch into like marketing mode to sell why people should get you funding to do this objectively good thing? Like, how did that feel? Like, that would have it sounds infuriating.
It sucks. It's infuriating, and you're right, and it sucks. And like, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to like stray away from that and go straight to the helping part.
Right.
So tell us more about the helping part. Like, what is that going to look like for you? Like, once you've gotten your second master's, casual fancy.
This master's includes practicum, I think that's how you say that, practicum.
Sure, we'll
anyway,
say it. That's fine.
That word, where I have to like do a placement, be supervised and stuff like that. So some people get jobs directly out of that. I hope to eventually open a private practice someday. And yeah, I specifically want to work with like the LGBTQ community, just because like they don't have as many resources, and a lot of psychotherapists and psychologists and psychiatrists are old white men that don't really understand the struggles of the LGBT community. So yeah, I want to help make that more accessible.
We love that. We love, like, oh man, that makes me delighted and happy. Thank you for being an excellent human being.
Shucks.
Also, Erik hit all of these like really like wonderful like nuanced questions, and my question was on app like how much poop have you handled?
Oh man, so much poop.
I was like, you said that.
I wish I had pictures to show you. There is this drawer. I'm pretty sure it's still back at the lab that I did my master's in, because the study is continuing without me. They need more participants.
Sitting there unrefrigerated.
Yeah, there's this filing cabinet.
Ew.
This locked filing cabinet with vials upon vials of food.
No.
Yeah.
Sitting in the hot sun.
There's a filing cabinet full of poop?
Yep.
What?
Katie, who told you about that?
Oh my god.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I was projecting.
Oh my god. I'm upset.
But yeah,
that
they're like in preservatives and stuff too, and they're like completely sealed. You don't smell it or anything. But like, there's a lot of poop, and I've handled a lot of poop.
I guess I never thought about the amount of like poop in relation to mental health. Like now I'm like really interested in this as like a
it's
concept.
like the new sexy topic in science right now, the gut microbiome.
It's
like,
super sexy.
They are
yeah.
finding relationships between the gut microbiome and everything. Oh, my cat is scratching.
Yes. So I imagine you're collecting these shit samples. I was trying to think of something funny. So these duty samples, we'll say. These poopy duty poopy samples.
Yeah.
And I imagine you're taking some sort of measurements on those to try to figure out what the gut microbiome that produced that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, pretend
what it was like.
Pretend like I'm an idiot who doesn't know what a gut microbiome. Like I totally do, but just pretend like I know. What is that, and why should I care about it?
And also, if you're listening to this and you don't know what a gut microbiome is, you're not an idiot. I'm sorry, Katie just directly called you an idiot.
I don't know what it is. That was the joke. Is that I have no idea what it is.
Okay, so inside your digestive system, there are bacteria that live in there. That's their home. They just chill out there all day long for your whole life.
Okay.
And those bacteria communicate with like your immune system and your brain, and they affect all sorts of different things within your body. And how we measure those bacteria is through poop samples. That's
so interesting.
So is that why like kombucha, for example, contains for background, and also a large portion of my life is dealing with sourdough bread. That is what I do. And apparently Katie didn't know that. I was like, hey, Katie, let's make some bread sometime. I still think it's
so funny. Like, I still think it's the funniest shit that I've ever heard of it. Like, just casually one time, because you know how everybody during the pandemic was making sourdough bread, right?
I liked sourdough before it was cool.
And then Erik was like, I know how to make sourdough bread. And I was like, cool, this is the pandemic. And then Erik just casually dropped like, no, you need to understand, I'm an expert. I'm trained. I studied.
Because
I apprenticed.
The first time that me and Erik talked on Discord, like talked on the phone or whatever, you ranted about sourdough bread for like 20 minutes straight. And I didn't stop you. I was just like, tell me more. Oh yeah, I want to hear it. Tell me about sourdough.
And I felt so bad. Well, afterwards, I was like, I just mansplained the ever-loving fuck out of that. I mean, in retrospect, like, I don't know. I feel like mansplaining is like, if I knew you already knew that stuff, but I feel like you should still hear it from me. Like, I don't know how much any given person knows about sourdough bread. I don't know. Also, for context, Katie and I were on the phone the other day, and I was like, hey, sometime we got to make sourdough bread. And she was like, do you know how to make, like, what? Keep in mind, Katie and I have known each other for 3 months, but in ADHD time, that's like 3 years. And
in pandemic time, that's like a bazillion years.
Yeah.
Right? So and I'm a dog, so that's like 59 years or something like that. But Katie was like, do you know anything about sourdough bread? And I had to actually ask the question, are you serious? Like, I didn't, like, I wasn't doing that. Are you serious?
The intensity at which that "Are you serious?" came. Like, that was the funniest part, because it wasn't like a casual, like, "Are you serious?" It was like a, "Are you serious?" And I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know.
Swear to me. Are you serious? Well, because I actually was asking, because if you were being sarcastic, then I would have been like, oh, ha, 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 and moved on. But if you were actually asking me if I know how to make sourdough bread, then that means there is a massive swath of my life that you know nothing about.
Yeah,
which is
I was
fine.
Like, I missed the whole memo. I missed that
Right.
whole memo. But anyway, Carly's here, and I want to hear more about poop and depression.
I'll get back to it. I promise I wasn't just trying to make that about me. I had a whole analogy that I was going to go on, and then I needed to. There's the whole thing. Anyways,
the most ADHD podcast in the world.
ADHD. So sourdough bread works basically on what we call a SCOBY, a symbiotic community of bacteria and yeasts. And we are constantly monitoring the health of that SCOBY, so symbiotic community of bacteria and yeasts, and monitoring its behavior and trying to make it behave in extremely predictable ways. If you take a SCOBY, like a starter, which is essentially like a mixture of flour and water that serves as a hotel for a shit ton of bacteria and yeast. If you move that from where I am in California to, Georgia, new bacteria and yeasts are going to be like, hey, what's up? We want to be in here now. And there's basically a war that happens within your sourdough starter, your SCOBY. And basically it has to rebalance itself. It'll behave differently. It'll taste differently. It'll produce different acids. It'll respond to different flours differently. It's fascinating. And so I was wondering,
where's the Pixar film of this? Where's the Pixar film of the little guys, and they're like, oh no, like the guy's bringing us to Georgia, and then they like go to war, and then it's like bread war, but it's like all adorably.
It'd be like Osmosis Jones. Do you remember Osmosis Jones?
Yeah, it'd be like Osmosis Jones, but it would be about sourdough. Like
be SCOBY Jones. I don't know, but
I watched the entire movie in my head while you were talking.
I love that movie so much. I always thought it was so cool how the pill like floated on that like water jet. I thought that was the sickest thing. But anyways, so now the actual question. We're gonna cut I'm gonna cut vast sections of that out. Jesus Christ.
You're not. We're gonna leave all of this.
We're not. We're leaving it in. Just how fragile is the gut microbiome, essentially? Can a new bacteria be introduced into your gut microbiome and like set up shop and like totally wreck it, or change the power dynamic, the whole political climate of your gut microbiome? Or is it generally like a stable thing? Like how stable is a person's gut microbiome? How susceptible is it to change based on the things that they eat or the environment that they're in? Loosely, like I'm just curious, is it a fragile thing, or is it like an ocean liner kind of thing?
Yeah, so first of all, like I haven't really looked at any of the new research in the past like 2 years, and I did my master's like 2 years ago, so I couldn't
never mind
on this. And like the study of the microbiome is still fairly new, so a lot of the research studies are like contradicting each other, and until we get like a lot of replication stuff, we won't really know. But yeah, some studies are saying that it's fairly like stable throughout your lifetime, that like there's what we call a critical period in your early life where it's like really susceptible to change, which was a big part of my master's because we were looking at early life trauma and how that affects the composition of the gut microbiome. But other people are saying that, yeah, that it can change later in life and stuff like that. So honestly, I'm not really sure at this point.
And so does the gut microbiome change strictly by like external things coming in, like something you eat, or can just an experience change your gut microbiome, like as you just said, trauma?
An awesome question, and that's something that they're currently studying and trying to figure out.
Oh my god, I'm curious as fuck, dog. I gotta get more shit samples in my life.
One of the questions like that we were asking with my thesis was like, is it, and we weren't looking at like cause and effect. We were just looking at correlational stuff. So we don't really know like what causes what. But one of the questions that arose from our study is like, okay, so is it that early life trauma is like causing depression, and depression is changing the microbiome, or is early life trauma changing the microbiome and the microbiome is causing depression, or like some sort of weird interaction like that? And we don't know.
Cool.
Oh man, I'm so fascinated by the implications of that. Like I have like full on hyperfixation ADHD brain about the implications of that. Because that basically means then that if they were able to like isolate it, you could hypothetically like fix depression by like putting in different gut, but like guys.
So I want to tell you about a really, really, really cool study.
Do it right now.
So there are, and I haven't talked about this in a while, so I might get details wrong, but there was a study that looked at rats, and there was like a rat with like rat version of depression. So like symptoms, it's not like the same as human depression at all, but you know, like symptoms where the rat is not acting like a normal rat and kind of looks sad, and like a normal rat. And if they took the poop from the depressed rat and put it in the normal rat started showing signs of rat depression.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So, and we can't extrapolate to humans because humans are very different from rats, but that hints that maybe gut bacteria can affect your mood. Maybe.
There was some TV show. No, Catie, no, please.
No. I was just gonna make a disgusting poop joke. It's fine.
Yeah, I know. That's why I want you to go.
I was gonna be very mature about this, so it's fine. You go ahead, friend.
I want to hear that poop joke. All right, keep that poop joke in the front of your brain. Smear it all over your face. Now I have to remember what I was gonna say. Oh shit. I remember on some TV show, like a Cougar Town kind of TV show, where there are a lot of like rich white ladies who live in LA and whatnot. The term like fecal transfer was something that they would say. Like it was some like they would go to Palm Beach and get a manicure and a mud bath and a fecal transfer. What? So there's some validity to that, I suppose. Well, there's perhaps some validity to that.
I've heard of, and I only vaguely remember this, but I've heard of like people trying to use fecal transplants to treat obesity and stuff like that.
I heard about that for like Crohn's disease.
Yeah, and Crohn's, yeah.
Yeah, like I had
Crohn's and IBS are like super linked to like depression and mental health in general.
Huh.
Which is also like a hint that like, something's going on with the digestive system in the brain.
Well, I also noticed like kombucha, for example, fermented beverage, which contains a SCOBY, a symbiotic community of bacteria and yeasts that like it's fascinating. Symbiotic, SCOBY, symbiotic community of bacteria and yeasts. Okay. So a kombucha or any non-pasteurized fermented beverage contains a SCOBY. And the idea is like when you drink kombucha, you're introducing an extreme, like by nature of the fact that the kombucha has successfully been made means that there is a very healthy symbiotic community of bacteria and yeasts in there, a very healthy microbiome. And so by drinking that, you're introducing a very stable, very healthy system into your gut and into your bowels and all the stuff, which is why, like, I'm as much asking this as I am saying this, which is why it makes you feel better. And I've noticed, like, you know, this is an ADHD podcast, but I also have very severe depression. What up? And I've noticed that a lot of the times, if I really like tune into myself, when I'm depressed, I have a bad feeling in my stomach. And it's not like a abstract bad feeling in my stomach, like fear. It's a literal nausea. It's a literal bad feeling in my stomach, which is also like if I eat a bunch of junk food, I get depressed. You know, I like because I'm ashamed that I just ate a bunch of junk food, but also because if like in my stomach, it's like what the hell? What was this? What are you doing here? Come on, now we have to do all this weird stuff to digest this stuff. So like
there's tons of things like go with your gut, butterflies in your gut, like that like dropping feeling in your gut. Like there's so many things that relate like mood and cognition and mental well-being to your gut already. And now finally science is like catching up with these like idioms.
Wow. Well, so my mom, future guest on our podcast, my mom. I'm not kidding, Catie. It's happening. It's going to be amazing.
Your mom's cool as hell. I'm cool with it.
You met my mom. That's
crazy. Have met both of your parents.
I haven't even met you in person.
We hung out.
That's a story. But yeah, that's crazy. Well, so she did this study so my mom also has, well, like she has depression. That's where I get it from. And she did this study where basically they inject enzymes from various foods into you and see if there's it was mental effects, see if any of them triggered her already very well documented depression. And so they were like, here's, you know, rice proteins or enzymes and stuff. And she'd be like, no, there's nothing, you know, whatever. And then they got to corn. They injected her with corn. It was either proteins or enzymes. Protein or enzymes. I think it was enzymes. But either way, they injected her with corn. And she said, like the flip of a switch, she immediately was like, why the fuck am I even here? Like, this is dumb. I want to go home. Like, I'm very far, you know, depression. Like, I want to be in my bed. I'm so far away from my bed. Like, you know, she couldn't bring her eyes up from the floor. Depression. If you have depression, you know what it feels like. But like immediately, like she was fine. And then all of a sudden she was injected with corn stuff and she just sank. She melted. And like she had to remember what she was doing. Like she had to be like, oh yeah, that one. And they were like, oh. And then they injected her with this other thing that is like the opposite of it, counteracted whatever they just injected her with. And again, like the flip of a switch, it just went away. She just went, whoa, that was weird. Holy shit. And so corn and wheat proteins both did that to her. And so now she never eats corn and wheat. And she said it changed her life. Like she can't believe that she went this long in her life without knowing that those simple, just the eating of those things, the introduction of those things into her body caused that to happen. So anyway, that's just to speak that like, I'm immensely fascinated by the fact that we just put so much in our bodies all the time. And the amount of different, the level of complexity that each individual thing has is fascinating on itself. But then when you mix them all together over time, like, I mean, it's you know, you don't need me to tell you it's fascinating. You studied it for a very long time and still are. But
hey, Eric.
What?
Erik, our producer is telling us that we have to move on.
Okay. But people are listening. People tune in to listen to me talk, not the very well-educated women I'm with.
You're such a butthole. So, okay, do you want to explain the next part to our good friend Carly here?
Yeah, sure. So we're in attempts to be less discursive and to filter our ADHD-laden whatever into some sort of organized, structured thing. We're doing an early section and then second section where we pick a topic about ADHD and just talk about our experiences with it and our thoughts on it and whatever the hell, because if we don't do that, then we're just going to end up talking about whatever. We're going to end up talking about whatever the living shit the entire time. So anyways, phase 2. Marvel phase 2. So what Carly, you and I talked about this a bit yesterday, but the ADHD topic today is looking back on symptoms, I suppose, would be a concise way of putting it. But just like, what are some of the things that seemed like just weird, like things that you didn't really notice at the time, but now that you have an understanding of your ADHD, you can look back and go, oh, dude, that was totally my ADHD, and I just didn't know at the time, whether it was in school or elsewhere.
Okay, so I thought of one. Like after we talked last night, I was like, oh, I have a perfect one to talk about. Okay. Do you guys remember in school that like blue sticky tack that they put posters up with?
Yeah.
Oh my God, my whole brain just lit up like, yes.
I was like a really goody two-shoes child when I was younger, and I never would ever think of stealing anything in my life ever. But except for that blue tack, I like obsessively would like, as we were walking along to the gym or something, I would like sneak my hand behind the posters and like grab a bunch of it. And I had this ball of it like this big in my desk, and I would like take it out in class secretly and like play with it because I knew if they found out that I had this much, they would certainly take it away. And I would just like,
I just want to point out for the viewers at home, you just made a grapefruit sized gesture with your hands. That big?
I remember. And like, yeah, I would like play with it during class, and I would get really, really upset if like another student tried to take it from me or like a teacher tried to take it from me. And now I'm just like, silly Carly, like that was a fidget toy that you made yourself in class because like they wouldn't give you any, so you stole one.
Yeah. Slowly over time, you're just amassing these. That's
so funny.
That is not an inconsequential. Like they may have noticed in the budget we've spent like 10 times as much on sticky tack, by the way, which is what I remember being called.
Yeah,
like there's a thief in the midst.
Somebody sent a bill in the mail or something now.
So talking about symptoms, talking about the reality of living with ADHD, tell us just a little bit about you. Like who are you? Where did you come from? What is your ADHD story? Like, how did all of this happen and come about?
So I wasn't diagnosed till I was 20.
Diagnosis fam, what up? I love it.
I totally just blanked. Oops.
That's okay. ADHD, your story, diagnosis, just who you are, what you do.
Small town near Ottawa, Ontario. Wasn't diagnosed in childhood at all. The way I found out was that playing Magic the Gathering late nights with my teen friends. I had a friend that was diagnosed, and every time at night around the time when we would be playing MTG, his meds would be wearing off, and he would start just being his wacky self. And I was very similar to him, and my friends were like, Carly, you act just like him. Like, are you sure that you don't have it too? Because you act exactly like him when he's not on his meds. And I was like, no, what are you talking about? No, I didn't, what? And then I didn't really think about it again until I got to university, and suddenly, I always did really well in school. I was always just a super nerd. I liked school. I've been in university for 9 years now. I clearly.
Yep.
So I got good grades without really trying in high school, but then that transition from high school to university was like a slap in the face.
Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard.
Yeah, because suddenly, you don't have, teachers nagging you to get assignments turned in, and you don't have, laid out, each unit is like this. No, it's just here's a bunch of information, figure it out, goodbye. So I was struggling in my first year. I remember I got my first biology lab report back, and I got a 60 on it, and I called my mom crying, and I was like, I have to drop out. I'm not supposed to be in university, clearly. So I was having a lot of trouble, and then I remembered my friends telling me oh, you seem like you have ADHD, and I was like, okay, let's humor them. And I went to the school disability office, and I was like, what do I do if I think I have ADHD? And they gave me this pre-screening questionnaire. And I filled out the questionnaire, and they looked at it, they're like, oh, yeah, that's definitely probably it. So they sent me to a psychologist, and that's where I had the full, psychoeducational assessment done. It was, a couple sessions of, 3 hours each, and I got to, play all sorts of cool games and do sorts of surveys and stuff. I found it super fun. And then, it came back that, yep, that's what it is.
What were those sessions like? You played with toys? Did you fill out stuff? Did you write stuff? What were they like?
Yeah. Oh, it was so cool. So... And this was before I switched into neuroscience and psychology too. So this was just really cool for me. But yeah, the first session was an interview. She asked me a lot about my history and stuff like that growing up. And then I think I filled out a bunch of different self-report surveys. And then she got into the psychoeducational testing. So there was a bunch of different tests. I remember one of them, my favorite one, because I succeeded with flying colors and I brag about it to everybody, was this one where there was a pattern on a piece of paper, and I had to recreate that pattern with these blocks that were colored differently. Yeah, okay,
yeah.
You know, yes. Yeah, so I did
think about that once a month.
Yeah, I did that test, and I scored in the 98th percentile, so I'm better than 98% of people at that test, and I'd like to brag about that. But there was also a test where you had to look at a picture and memorize the details about it, and then the picture went away for a couple minutes, and then it came back, and you had to try and spot what had changed. And I scored in I don't know, something really bad, the 7th percentile or something for that. So my memory is poop. But yeah, there was those kind of tests. There was one where they like said numbers and letters to you and you had to repeat them back orally.
Oh God, that gives me so much anxiety just thinking about having to do that. No, thank you.
Mine was very similar, and it was, from what I remember, it wasn't. It was about the disparity between them. There were I think there were like 4 categories of them, like just in the form that they gave me afterwards. And it was about, are all your other ones like about the same? Like if you are as expected given the other ones, and how much, like if one is low, by how much? And Yeah, that seemed to be the metric by which mine was based as well. Is like I would do like extremely well on the little blocky test, which I think about all the time. I nailed it.
I want to do more.
I want to do it right now. I'm gonna make one. Oh my god, I'm gonna make one. I'm gonna ask the. Do you guys know the girl on TikTok who makes the paper models?
No.
No? Oh my gosh, she's by far the most famous person who follows me. Little droppy drop there, but she makes paper stuff. It's awesome. I wish I knew her name so I could play her. But
you're gonna make a block test.
Gonna make the block test. Oh yeah, but it was basically about like there were ones of mine that were like staggeringly low as well. And it was
My psychologist explained, she's like, it's really common for people with ADHD or other like neurodivergent people to have like peaks and valleys in their intelligence where they're really, really good at some things and they're really bad at other things.
Oh my god. I love knowing that. Like I love having that information in my brain because I feel like, I don't know if you experience this, but like the weird dichotomy of like being so successful in school. Like I have 2 master's degrees. So like I love school. I'm great at school. I'm amazing at school. But then it's like I can't do the dishes. I can't keep my life together. Yeah. And it's so frustrating to be so successful, whatever that is. Yeah. And then also be like, quote unquote, like such a failure. And it's such a weird thing. And like, I wish more people knew that. I wish more people knew that like there are peaks and valleys.
I was getting chills as you said that because like I relate to that so hard.
Yeah. Like it's, well, and so what I was going to ask you is, do you think that you like part of the reason why you've decided that you want to like go into like, did you say psychology? Is that it?
Psychotherapist, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I never remember what is the right word. I'm always like psychologist, psycho. It's fine.
There's a lot of
psychoists. But do you think like part of that is because of your experience and knowing that there's not like a typical experience, like that's something that's drawn you to this line of work?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. And now that I've started doing the TikTok thing, it's like even just more amplified. I feel like yes, this is where I belong, teaching people about all the crazy, weird ways that we can exist that are all legitimate and valid. Like, hell yeah.
Absolutely. And so, okay, so how did you come to TikTok? How did you wind up being like an ADHD TikToker? Because I'm here by accident. I still don't know how this happened.
Yeah. So also by accident, really, like it's such a like classic millennial on TikTok story of just like I downloaded it ironically and then I got addicted to it and now I do it all the time. But I think I posted one of the first ones that I posted that was ADHD related was it was just a joke one. It was when that Miley Cyrus audio was trending and the like rating blank and I was rating my ADHD symptoms and then like people like that and I was like, oh, interesting. Okay. I can talk about my ADHD here and people like it. Cool. And then I made the "Goddamn it, Dave" post. And that's the one that like went up real fast and started to like gather attention. And I was like, okay, all right, I can work with this.
Well, your stuff is amazing. And so free advertisement for you. If you're not following Carly, ADHaDult, you absolutely should, because it's amazing and great. So listeners, go do that. I had another question, but then I got so excited about your content.
Yours is the kind of content that like, I like it so much that I hate it because I wish I could make content like that. Like you're so consistent. You have like a style and you're like educated on the subjects. It's like, it's awesome. I mean, I don't actually hate it. I love it very much. But I really admire you for that. It's really incredible. That was the meanest way to compliment somebody ever.
I have a question for the group though. I have like a real question on because like I don't know like because I've gotten to a certain point, right, where it's like I'll go on my TikTok and I'll want to talk about, like peaks and valleys, right? And I'll want to like talk about that subject. And I'll be like scrolling through my feed or whatever. And then I see that like 5 different ADHD TikTokers have already like done a video. Do you ever have that moment? Do you ever have that moment of like struggle where you're like, should I make a video? I feel like I'm kind of copying like Carly now, but like I want to say something about it. And do you ever have that problem where it's just like, oh shit, well Catie already made a video, now I feel awkward?
I had a momentary like absolute fear, like gut fear, horrible reaction when I posted a video that was like almost identical in content to one that you posted, Catie, at this same time too.
I don't even
literally within an hour of each other posting it. We both posted about ADHD and non-heterosexuality.
Right, I remember that. I loved it.
The video, I was like, oh my god.
It. Like I had stuff. Like I do remember that now because like I had this very real moment of like, oh, I feel like other people are like. I guess I'll like post it because like it's important to me and I want to like stay authentic to myself. And then I saw that you did it and I was like, well, at least now there's two of us. Like that was that was my reaction. Like I wasn't at all mad. I was just like, sweet. Like I felt like vindicated in like having that moment of like, oh, well, somebody else has had this experience, like knows this knowledge, has this experience, and they like want to talk about it. So like I was like jazzed. I was
okay,
like,
awesome.
I was like, aha!
I was terrified because I was like, is she gonna be mad? I swear I didn't copy her.
Like I have that all the time. Like because I feel like the weird thing about ADHD is like it's so there are parts of it that are so personal, right? And so it's like I feel like both of us we could absolutely go home tonight and do a really compelling video about our experiences as being like academically successful, right? But we would have two completely different experiences. Like we share that same thread, but it's two different things.
Yeah.
And so it's like I keep going back and forth between this like if I know that like somebody like if Danny Donovan has like made a video about this already, like can I use this topic? Can I say something? And so like I don't know, I constantly have like anxiety brain about being perceived as like stealing other people's content.
I think there's value too in even if it's literally the exact same like content, like if it was on paper looks very, very identical, like having a different voice tell it to people also matters because some people I think are going to be more receptive to someone who, you know, likes D&D and kink and stuff like that talking about something, whereas like some people want, you know, someone that looks, you know, more like really professional, like well done up with like nice clothes and like a clean background. Like I saw this one, I can't remember now, but it's all like time lapses of like this really organized desk with like nice writing and everything. I wish I could remember the name. But some people like that, and some people like a chaotic blue-haired person screaming at them. Like, there's different styles of delivery of content, and I think that there's value to that style of delivery as well, other than just the content.
That's such a good point. So like, well, how would you define your thing? Like, how did you find your voice on TikTok?
I'm still finding it. I don't know.
Same. I totally was like, this is such a shitbag question I asked him. Like, I don't even know. Like, I was in the backyard earlier, like running around dressed like Catcher on a Belfie from Outline and like Andrew. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. It's fine. Fuck it.
That's the great thing about TikTok is like you have the space to just like fuck around, for lack of a better term.
And it's like, you know, if like one video flops, you've got an unlimited number that you can post to make up for it, you know. And it's have you found it really interesting to see like what is a hit and what is a miss? Yeah, my like analytical science brain, like I have spreadsheets. I have Excel spreadsheets about my TikTok account, guys. Like, that's amazing.
I'm doing like research on my content and like what people like, what people don't like, what hashtags are working, what time of day is working and stuff like that. Like it's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, something that like I didn't expect any of the TikTok stuff to happen, but I didn't expect to be so interesting about it is just the volume of data involved. I mean, just the sheer quantity of data involved in the way that any one person's experience on TikTok is. Like I've noticed, like in videos, if I say something looking at the camera versus looking away and then looking at the camera, I don't know if it makes a difference, but I kind of feel like it makes a difference, like looking at the numbers, which is also sort of to say, like, you know, Catie, you asked if somebody is already, like Danny Donovan does a video about something and it does really well and she explained it really well. There's still vast swaths of people who aren't going to see that because of something, because
and I always
the algorithm did a thingy thing. And so like at the end of the day, like by making a video yourself, even if you like maliciously say, I'm going to copy this person's video, you're still reaching a larger portion of people. And I think for all of us, I don't mean to speak for either of you, but I think ultimately, like, I feel like we feel like we're helping people. Like we're being honest about our experiences such that other people kind of go, holy shit, me too. Like I can feel less bad about that, or feel seen, or feel not alone. And so that's like my counter to, like, if I want to make a video, but it's already been done to death by a bunch of people, it's like, well, some people still haven't seen it. And perhaps if I do one, then those people will see it. Which is not to, I don't mean to like venerate myself and be saintly or whatever, but that's sort of how I combat that train of thought.
Yeah, I also love that you can now stitch videos, so like you can just add something to what someone else is saying. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
I get irrationally mad at people when they don't have like duet or stitch enabled. Like there's a couple of content makers right now that like I would love to say a few things about some of their videos, but they have they have that turned off. So like if I want to do that, I have to like screen record it or something, which like always feels a little sketchy. Like they're not giving me permission to do so. But I was just like, I like get like weirdly upset about it, like, which is so silly. It's like they're right, it's their right and their total prerogative, and I'm just like, how dare. It's so dumb. But Carly, do you have the problem of like forgetting that your TikTok is completely different than my TikTok? Like, do you ever have that where you just like forget that there are so many TikTok accounts that other people don't know about? Because I just assume everybody has the same algorithm as me.
That's a big one too, is like, I assume that everyone that's watching my videos has watched like all of your videos, and all of your videos, both of you. Sorry, I forget that we're not, that it's audio too, but yes, both of your videos.
You
else.
gestured to both of the screens, the Hollywood Squares screens.
It was really good. It was fun. Nice. There'll be a little bonus for the pod tubers out there. It'll be fun. Unfortunately, however, our producer is telling me that we need to move on.
Uh-oh.
Ready? Man, talk about time blindness.
That was really good, Eric. Subtle.
It was over
really
there.
Good.
Well, whatever. I have my piano's right there.
It was really good. That's great. Okay, do you want to introduce this cool new... It's time for a new segment. Oh, I was doing that.
No, I didn't like that you were doing that, so I stopped.
It's fine. That's perfect. I'm sorry. Hey,
Katie and I really like each other, everybody. We're just mean to each other sometimes.
We're just mean to each other for fun.
Yeah, it's very healthy.
I'm gonna cry over here now. Do you wanna do the idea that we talked about earlier, the secret cool new idea?
Oh yeah, sure.
Do you want to play show and tell? Or do you want to play
All right, everybody. So today we're gonna be playing ADHD show and tell.
It's creepier when the voice is disembodied. Like when I can't see you doing it. It's like, it might be Erik, it might be a possessed ventriloquist dummy. I'm not sure.
That's exactly
that was the first thing?
That's
really?
exactly what I was picturing.
That is exactly what I was picturing.
Well, now I'm offended. I was
picturing that, like, from Goosebumps. Like, I was totally picturing Slappy from Goosebumps doing that song. How is that both where both of our brains went? That is glorious and fantastic.
Well, clearly I look like a fucking ventriloquist dummy. Now I have that in my head. Two people independently thought of it.
You could like draw the lines.
Why do you think I'm standing up right now?
Oh, you're gonna draw the lines. Erik, we have to do the segment though, buddy.
Oh shit, that's right. Okay. And also, this won't come up. I'll have that on for days.
So this is a new segment.
Katie.
You know what? I'm taking the introduction away from you. That's what you get.
I'll get the music.
Okay. Welcome to our super professional podcast. We're so glad you came, Carly. This is a segment. This is a new segment that we're trying. It's called ADHD Show and Tell. Because one of the cool things about being in a pandemic is that we're not in the same room together. In fact, are you in Canada right now?
I am in Canada.
Real quick, what's it like living in a good country?
I mean, Canada has problems too, but right now we're definitely still doing better than the States.
Have you ever seen Justin Trudeau in real life?
Does he smell good?
Let's see, what does he smell like? What does he look like? What is his vibe?
I've seen Stephen Harper in real life, but that's less exciting.
I have like a weird crush on Justin Trudeau. Like, it's so stupid. Like, it's so dumb.
Daddy?
Yeah, I was just like, I call him Prime Minister boyfriends, and like, I just really like Justin Trudeau. It's fine. I feel the same way about Jacinda from New Zealand. I was like, 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah,
good,
absolutely.
Good. It's like, it's fine. I'm sure they all have their issues, but they're better than what we down. It's fine. Okay. So anyway, show and tell. Sorry, I got distracted thinking about how nice it would be to be in Canada right now. Eric, you introduce it.
Okay, fine.
I gave it back to you because I'm nice.
First off, if the Prime Minister of New Zealand came up to me at any time of any day and just said, "Hey, come with me,"
I would. Without
what I was doing.
question.
I'd get in there.
Yes, ma'am. Like I'd just be like, yes. Can I hold the baby? Like I'd be like yes.
Frankly, if the Prime Minister of any country came up to me and said, "Hey, come with me," there's a very strong likelihood that I would. Leader.
I don't know about any country.
That seems like a bold statement.
If I saw Donald Trump, I would be like, "Hey, you come here now!" Like you, I have some shit to say to you. Like, he would not be the one beckoning me. So this segment, everybody.
Yes.
Third try. Here we go. So the segment is ADHD show and tell.
I was doing the music.
God, Catie, that's my thing. Okay,
sorry, my piano's too far away for it to be an effective bit.
Did you remember all that stuff I taught you the other night?
Yes.
Cool. I'm quizzing you later. I'm quizzing you.
Cool.
Eric teaches Catie music.
Introduce the segment, Eric.
Oh yes. Okay. So the segment ADHD show and tell. We're gonna go in a circle, which means nothing, but we're gonna take turns, and each one of us is gonna ask the other person to show us their ADHD thing. Like an ADHD thing. I want to name examples, but I don't want to take examples away from anything that you might be thinking. So here it is, ADHD show and tell. Carly, would you like to go first?
I name a thing that you have to go find?
Yeah, I can go first too.
You tell me first, so Carly gets the vibe, and then we'll don't put Carly on the spot. That's
all right. Cool.
Carly.
I just wanted to see the look in your eyes when I was like, "You're on the spot now. Go." Ah! Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so wait, am I saying the thing first or Catie?
Yeah, you say the thing and I'll go find it.
All right. I want to see from the two of you. I want to see a strange thing from a hobby that you once had but no longer really do.
Oh, that I once have. Okay.
Well, no, you could still tentatively do it, but just a thing from a strange hobby, we'll say.
Okay.
A hobby. I don't mean to qualify it by saying strange. Who's to say? What the hell is that? Okay, so for the listeners at home, Carly was way quicker on the draw with this. I just want to point out. So all right, so from what I can tell, you're holding a purple rubber cube. Oh, it's a house. Okay, so it's a purple house with a rhinoceros bisected into it. Oh, it's a hippo. And then a smaller hippo bisected, two smaller hippos bisected. So it looks like the house from Up with hippos protruding from it. And it's about the size of a baseball. What is that?
That is delightful.
So this is gonna take some explaining because you're not Canadian.
How could that make sense to any natural? All right.
Please expound. I'm delightfully curious in this moment.
So this is also like a shameless self-plug at the same time.
Please plug all of your stuff.
So I had a friend 3D print this for me because I'm in a band called House Hippo. Now, for you Americans, House Hippo is this delightful 90s PSA that was made for children to like teach them how to like be wary of what they're seeing on TV. It was like this like documentary style like shots of this tiny little hippo that lived in your house and ate like peanut butter crumbs. It was like the North American house hippo, blah 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 blah. Yeah, and it's like this tiny hippo that lives in your house and like hides and stuff. Anyway, so I named my band that. Me and my friend have a band called House Hippo, and we got this 3D printed. So the hobby is my band, I guess. It's not abandoned. We still have it. The band, but this thing.
What kind of music do you play?
It's like folksy stuff. Yeah, like harmonies and stuff. He plays the guitar. He writes all the songs. I'm really just a meat sack to make vocals for him, and arranging and stuff like that. But
so not to take attention away from your band, but I still have quite a few hippo-related questions. So what did the tiny house hippo do? Was it a malicious house hippo, and they were like, "Beware the house hippo," or was it a friendly house? What?
I think they're friendly. I think that they steal like peanut butter crumbs and stuff, but like I think they're relatively.
Not friendly. Not friendly to steal peanut butter crumbs. That's a bad thing to do.
It's like
with the North American house hippo in a heart.
It's like the borrowers. Like they just borrow stuff. Like they live in your house and they borrow stuff.
But
Like they're
they're
tiny. They're not like eating all your food. They're eating the crumbles.
Okay, so how does the hippo relate to being wary of what you see, or being wary of what you see on TV, or aware of what you see on TV?
Well, I mean, they were trying to say that it's not real, but I don't believe that. I believe it is real. And really, their whole advertising campaign backfired because I completely 100% believe in the house hippo now.
I support this. I'm for it. House
They
Hippo
really
2020.
You should look it up. Look up Canadian house hippo after this podcast because I think
I've written it down 2 different places. Like I got you.
I've written it down in one place. All right, Catie, what do you got?
Okay.
If it's not hippo related, this is going to be a massive disappointment.
Maybe I could change. So this is from when I used to repair phonographs.
What? That is a phonograph.
It's a phonograph.
It's a full-sized phonograph.
It's a full-sized phonograph. It's right here. It's got the cool thing and everything. It's very heavy, so I'm gonna put it down.
Cool.
Wow.
But so the thing is that I used to I still do sometimes, but I really like repairing old antiques because old antiques make sense to me in my brain because they're from before computers, and so they're primarily mechanical. And so like over there, you can't see it, but I've got like a projector, like an old Victorian projector from like the 1890s, and then I've got this really cool like a 1940s telegraph trainer. Like they would like use how you trained to learn how to use the telegraph. And yeah, I just like to repair old antiques. That's a fun fact about me. So
that's cool. How does a telegraph trainer work? How does it?
I'll show you. Hold on.
Oh boy. How do I'm tempted to guess, but I'm going to be wrong, and I don't want that shame in my life right now.
I have no guess.
It's got training wheels on it.
I'm back.
Okay, that already looks very different.
Okay, a box.
So the way
It's a
it
black
works is
box.
like there's like this big box, and what you would do is you had like headphones, these are like the original headphones that came with it, which is cool. You don't see that very often. And then you had tapes, and they would have so it's like Morse code, you know. And so you put the tape on it, and then the tape would play, and it would do like the do like the dots and the dashes, and then you have a separate component piece that you plug into it. That's the tapper, and so you can use it to train like listening, like receiving messages, or you could train to like learn how to send messages. And so this one right now is set up to learn how to receive. And the reason why I own this is a very stupid story, is because I'm really into escape rooms and love escape rooms. And a lot of escape rooms have Morse code in their escape rooms, and I'm very bad at Morse code. So I found that at an antique store, and then I repaired it, and so now I'm training myself to learn Morse code so I can be better at escape rooms. So anyway, moving on from the absolute shit show that lives inside my head at all times.
Well, we just want to say, clearly the most efficient way to learn Morse code is to step 1, find a broken over 100-year-old training device.
No. This is from World War II. Like, so they use it during World War II. Like, this is how they train soldiers. So it's not like 100 years old.
Gotcha. Also, fun fact: Samuel Morse was actually a pretty accomplished painter. Pretty good.
I know that. Fun facts. Okay, so my challenge.
The world holds its breath.
Is to find a book that you've started more than once but you haven't finished.
I got that. Oh, that would be funny. Should I go for the joke or should I go for the actual answer?
I mean, go with whatever you want to go with.
Okay. Where is it?
There's just like antiques littering my kitchen now. This is great.
Oh God, all right.
I have to run all the way upstairs.
Oh my gosh. It's okay. Erik is still finding his.
All right, I'm here. I got it.
Okay, so Carly, what's yours? What did you bring for us today?
Margaret Atwood, Mad Adam. I read the first 2 in high school, or at least the first one in high school.
It's okay, take a breath, you're okay.
And yeah, and I liked them, but I've gotten this far, so page 78, and I've tried like 3 times to read this dang book, and I just cannot do it.
Margaret, is that like a sequel to The Handmaid's Tale? I genuinely don't know.
Same author, different series. So
okay,
the first one was called Orcs and Crake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And do you watch Handmaid's Tale? I feel like I'm the only one who doesn't.
Yeah. No, I love Handmaid's Tale.
Okay. See, again, I don't know.
I have a friend who was in that show.
What?
Yeah, as like a background actor, but like still super cool.
That's still super cool. That's amazing.
I can't watch it because every time I do, I just think of Mike Pence.
Wait, that's different. That's not my.
That's different. Catie just did the Mitch McConnell.
So ready for it. I was so ready to get Mitch McConnell eating a raspberry, and then I was like, "That's not." Different person. It's fine. Oh, Erik and I have a running joke where Mitch McConnell eats raspberries, and that's the whole joke. It's very, very dumb.
Yeah, it's either he is very tiny, and therefore the raspberry seems very big, so he eats it like a corn cob, or the raspberry is giant. I think the tiny Mitch McConnell is funnier, because then it's like...
He could be like a house hippo.
I do not have a house Mitch McConnell.
McConnell house hippo?
That is for sure. He can have none of my peanut butter.
He lives in your house
none of
and he eats your crumbs?
He can do massive litigious processes to get a bill on my desk that I could pass in order to give him peanut butter scraps, but I'm not going to fucking pass the bill. I'm going to leave it on my desk forever.
Hey, Sorry. Erik, you know how you get rid of a Mitch McConnell, a tiny Mitch McConnell in your house? But you have to clean it.
Filibuster or voting in Kentucky?
If there's no crumbs, then he can't survive. So you have to clean your house so Mitch McConnell can't live there.
You also vote in Kentucky. If you live in Kentucky, vote Kentucky.
Also that. Erik, what was yours? What was your book?
Full of white hot rage now. So the first one, and this is kind of a joke, but it's also true. The Bible. Like, I have a Bible because it's like, you should read the Bible. Like, just one
what
should
version is it?
Have that King James.
It's
the New International Version.
I was going to say, like, at least get some poetry in your life with the King James. It's fine. I have opinions on Bible.
Oh my gosh. Forgot about that. It has a bunch of writing on the inside of it. And I found it on the street. And so I was like, oh, the universe provided me with a Bible. I'm taking it. And one day I'll read it. Second is Faulkner's Light in August. I started it in high school and we did it for a class and it was amazing. And but doing it in a non-academic setting is like, it's such dense writing, like just full of insane symbolism, like, ugh. So like in a classroom setting, it's awesome because you can all discuss like what stuff means, but alone it's just like, there's no way I'm getting what is supposed to be gotten from this book. Like, I am not smart enough.
What does it mean?
I am by far not well-educated enough to understand this book. So that one. And then another one is, what is it? Wizard's First Rule. It's a fantasy book that has been recommended to me a million times.
That is a thick boy, is what that is.
Yeah, it's the first of like 12 series. So I'm on chapter 4.
Dang.
And I keep forgetting, so I have to reread, but I can only ever get to chapter 4. But it's pretty good so far. Yeah, Wizard's First Rule. I'm hoping somebody listening to this can go like, dude, it's amazing, you gotta finish it, and then that'll make me finish it.
Maybe.
I have a stack of fantasy books also that I could have brought down like 50 books. So many books. Just buy them and never finish them.
Not a show and tell, but just a question. On average, how many, like of a percentile, how many books do you own that you have not read or finished?
God.
Ooh, it might be like close to 50-50. Like 50% I bought and have never even opened.
Well, so yeah. I'm going to say an answer that is unsavory, but it makes sense. So I would say about 98% of the books that I own I have not read. But I live in Oakland, California, and in Northern California, there is so much stuff on the street, like for free. Like if anything is even minutely useful, people don't throw it out. They put it on the street and with a sign that says free on it. And so I move around a lot because I'm a cook for hire. And so I kind of just bounce around in apartments a lot. And so having a living fuck ton of books on me is not like useful. So if I've read a book and I've liked it, I'll give it to somebody because I want them to read it. And also like, it's literally just heavy and I've already read it. And so like, I'll get rid of it. And so when I moved into this apartment, I found a crate full of just books, including that fantasy book, but just like a stack. Some of them I've heard of, some of them I haven't. Some of them are like, I don't know, but I was just like, whoa, that's cool. That'd be fun to have and like look at and be like, oh, look at these completely random assortment of books from nonfiction to fantasy to like young adult. Like that would be cool if I could like go up and just be like, pick one at random. Like the universe provided me with this book and now I'm going to read it, which of course I haven't done. But anyway, so about 98% of the books I own, I have not read.
I think that almost, like 98% of the books that I have read, it was in high school or earlier. I used to be like a really avid reader, but I think that this was before Netflix and TikTok were a thing. Yeah. So back then I had either like the satellite TV and the shows on there were not great, or reading, and so I read a lot.
So so I've had this same thing. I've had this exact same experience of like, I was a voracious reader. Like I was like known in, like I was in the newspaper, like how much I fucking read. And then like at some point I just stopped. I just stopped. And I had like a very real moment a couple of years ago, like after grad school, where I realized like it had been probably 5 years since I've read a book for fun. And I was like, I'm going to read a book for fun. Did I finish that book? No. But I started it, and that's the important thing. Did you have that moment? Did you have that moment of like, fuck, it's been a year since I've read a fun book?
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Especially like, and once you're in university or college or whatever, like you have to read so much like for school that you're like, the last thing I want to do for fun is read a book.
Yep.
I want to just turn the TV on and let my brain melt out of my ears.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like half burnout and then half like motivation, you know? Yeah. Oh man, it's so hard. It's so hard. It makes me happy because I feel like not a lot of people talk about that experience of being like, I fucking love reading. I fucking hate reading. Like,
yeah, I got my high school graduation. I got the, you know, like how they do awards, like most likely to, whatever. I got the bookworm award. I was like, that's how my school knew me, was like, I read a lot.
Well, I always, just to bring it back to ADHD, frankly, like, and this is something that, like, I feel like I've never admitted to myself, and certainly I've never admitted to other people. But why not say it on a podcast?
On a podcast.
I frankly have a really hard time reading. Like, I don't know, I've never been diagnosed with like a reading something or other. But my ADHD has always made reading excruciating, like shamefully excruciating. Because I'll be reading and the more, it's like the longer unless I'm so absorbed in what I'm reading that my like other brains, you know, like my ADHD brains, they're going like, what's going on over there? There was a sound outside. It smells weird in this room, doesn't it? Like, unless it's so vividly amazing to me that all of those brains are like hyper focused, and then in which case I'll read for way too long and lose track of time and miss work and stuff like that. That doesn't happen in a while. But the longer I read, I think, I mean, I used this analogy in our last podcast, but my brain sort of feels like an imbalanced washing machine, like on the spin cycle. So if there's like a shoe on one side, the more that it spins, the more the more it oscillates and goes like. And so as I'm reading, my brain just starts getting hotter and hotter, and it starts vibrating harder and harder, and I have to just go, fuck, oh god, like shit, and then I'm like, good. So if there's something that I have to read, it's extremely difficult. I would read with somebody else. Reading aloud for me really helps, because it forces me to keep my place. Like I won't like scan and then go, oh, did I skip a line? But like, but that was
Carly. You have sorry, Eric. I just got really.
Well, I just want to say,
excited.
just in case anybody listening like has had that similar experience, that like, it's one of the more infuriating things that that I don't want to say I blame my ADHD for, but like there are vast swaths of books that I have owned at one point or have intended to read. But you know, I'm 26 years old now, and every time, 98% of the time I sit down with the intention to read, it ends in like shame and anger, and
it's so real. It's so valid.
Awful.
It's so real.
Like, yeah. So anyway, a lot of times, like if like all the books that I've started but haven't finished, it's just like, I don't want to use the word like trauma lightly, but you know, it's like I associate it with my failure academically and my failure intellectually, and it's like something to get over or whatnot. So anyways, just on reading and ADHD, that's a thing.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask Carly. Like, Carly, you are, I think, the first person that I've ever met that's, like, academic, but, like, science academic, because all I know is, like, trash Shakespeare nerds, when, like, that's different, right?
Master of letters.
Master of letters, you're welcome. A to Z, I know them all. Do you have advice for, you know, anybody who is, like, in STEM like you are, who might be struggling with things like reading long-ass science reports? I assume those are a thing. I know a lot.
They are.
Doing the science papers.
Do you have any advice for people do science?
I have 14 science to do today. Oh no.
How can I do a science good with ADHD?
Okay, so how to do a science good. No, I actually made a video about this
Title
recently.
card.
People are like, what? Oh my God, thank you. But like, especially in science, when you're reading, you don't really have to read it in order. Like you were talking, Erik, you were just talking about how like, oh, I jumped a line. Oh, I have to go back. In science, like, it's not really a big deal if I jump to the middle of an article, read that part, and then go, oh, okay, that's really cool. Wait, what are they talking about now? And then I go back and then read it. And like, that's actually probably the better way to do it, is like, if you can skim your textbooks for relevant information and then give yourself, like, let your brain give you the dopamine by like just finding something interesting. Like if you just scan a bunch of pages, find something that piques your interest, then you'll have that little bit more like power to actually read the boring parts.
I love that. It does not work at all for Hamlet, but no. I love it. Listen, but
wait, what is the question? Oh,
wait
a second. What? Wait a second. He dies at the end. Fuck.
Yeah, I also like I love that. I was watching your other podcast and like all your academia in theater and stuff is super fascinating to me because I've done theater and I almost went to school for theater, but I grew up really poor and I really wanted to get a well-paying job. So I decided I'll go to school for science and I'll keep doing theater like as a passion thing. Yeah, but like you're saying, like it doesn't work when you're reading scripts. Like I can't just jump in the script and because it doesn't work that way. But yeah, I find like reads, like the first read of a play is like one of the most stressful things for me ever, because reading aloud in front of people is like so much anxiety, because I'm gonna jump a word, I'm gonna get confused. Oh, I'm supposed to understand what I'm saying and I'm supposed to emote into this as I'm reading, but I don't even know what I'm reading. I'm just like spitting out words, and yeah, super stressful.
It is a big mood, especially when you're like, you have ADHD, so like then you're also just like bored because you're like, oh, I'm done talking now, like I guess I'll sit here for 12 pages.
When's it my turn?
Yeah, and then you start like peeking ahead. You do the peek ahead where you're like, how many more lines until I get to talk again?
And then suddenly you skipped one, you didn't notice, but you had one, but you're going ahead to try and see like, oh, what's the next thing I'm gonna say? And then everyone's sitting there staring at you and you're like, what? And they're like, it's your line. And you're like,
the number of times.
What page are we on?
The number of times this has happened to me in my life. I'm so glad that I'm not I feel deeply vindicated in this moment. Thank you for that gift. I'm going to take that and treasure it always, because that is such a mood.
I thought that this was a unique experience to me, so this is also validating to have.
It's such a real thing. It's such a real thing. Like, it's just like that moment where you're like, oh fuck. Like,
yeah, and then you're frantically trying to like figure out what page everyone's on.
Yeah, you're like, oh sorry, I got lost. And you're like, I wasn't lost, I'm lying. I'm telling lies now to cover for my shameful self-interestness. So good. Well, hey, like our producer's telling us that we have to move on. But how do you want to end this baby, Erik? How do you want to say goodbye to our friend Carly?
Well, I do have to say that, Carly, you still have to ask us both.
Oh, right. We got so distracted. Shocking no one.
Oh, yeah, the game. I forgot.
Which, if you got one,
all forgot.
I'd love to hear it. But don't group me in on that. I didn't forget. I was the responsible one in this.
I got excited. We were having a theater kid moment.
Was that what that was?
That was what it was. What it looks like.
Carly, devastate me. Sorry.
Find me the nearest object that is not where it should be. Like, whether it's like a clutter thing or like I just put this down in a weird spot, and then tell me like where you found it.
Oh my god.
I don't even have to. I'm just gonna move my computer. I'm not even gonna move my body. Here's the entire. This is what you can't see. Like, just all of this.
Oh my gosh. Well, so well done, Catie. You didn't have to move your computer. Good job.
I didn't, because it's just that thin veneer of having my shit together.
Right. It's just a subtle thing.
Slightly off camera. It's just piles of bullshit.
Yeah, the backgrounds of your lives and stuff always look so nice and neat and like pretty and stuff. And I'm like,
because I only use like right here, and then but like what you can't see is like I don't have a desk. I like literally don't own a desk, and very recently I realized that that's weird. I don't have a desk, and so I use my kitchen island. And so then I was like, because the light's really good, because I got like a lot of windows right here. But then the thing is, it's just like all the shit from all of my shit is just right here in a pile all the time.
I also, here, do you want to, are we just exposing ourselves? Wait.
Yeah. See?
It's
like, I dead ass said last night on the Discord, I was talking to some people on Discord, and we were talking about our desks, like our workspaces. And so I said the next ADHD challenge video I'm going to do is show me your desk. Because it's like terrifying. It's like terrifying to reveal that part of you. Because you're like, well,
it builds up so fast. Like I'll finally clean it, and then within 2 days, it's a disaster.
Yeah,
how did this happen?
It's I don't know. And then like one of the things that I find the most frustrating is like, and maybe you have this because you're also a theater person, but like I'm a theater person, but I also like make like I costume.
Oh, are you guys theater people? I'm sorry, I had to move really close to the camera for that one.
Hair flip. But like the thing that I find so frustrating is like if I'm like making a costume, I have to like get out all the fabric, and I have to get out all the pins, and I have to get out the whatever the fuck. And then it's just like it's a completely new mess in the same area. And people are like, well, just put stuff away as you work. And I'm like, it's not possible. I don't believe that it's a possible thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get so heated about people like, just put your stuff away. I'm like, thanks. That never occurred to me.
If I put the stuff away, I forget that I have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I want to keep everything out where I can see it and where I know I have it and I know where to get it. But then if I have it gets messy really fast.
Yep.
I like that also like to put stuff away, like do a thing and then put it away. That's contingent on the fact that you're starting a task and then completing the task and now you're done and that's not the case with ADHD. There are like several like progress bars happening at all times. Like I'm not going to do 5% of something and then have a better idea and go, oh, I should build that, and go, but first let me put away all these things that it's like, no, I'm going to leave them all out so I can switch from each one like really quickly. So
does that affect you in like your like when you were like working in like labs and stuff? Like what was it like to work in like places where you have such like strict protocols, knowing that like your brain is like, maybe I could just leave it all here? Like was that something that you had to like learn or like find a workaround for?
Yeah, so I feel like if I like, okay, so I'm very motivated by like the fear of social shame. So when I know that I'm sharing a space with someone, like my brain is automatically thinking like, oh my God, don't leave this there. They're going to get mad at you. They're going to do this or they're going to do that. So I'm a lot better at like keeping spaces clean if it's a shared space.
Yeah.
Than I am if it's just me, or if it's like people that I'm comfortable with, like my roommates and stuff like that. Like I'm bad at it again because I know that they're not going to get mad at me. But like my lab mates and stuff, I was like, these people don't know me. I don't know them. I need to impress them. So I was always like very hyper vigilant about that kind of stuff. And having like really concrete instructions for protocols also helped, because then I'm literally just following the list and I don't have to like, I don't have to use my brain. I just have to follow the instructions.
Yeah. I think one of the great frustrations like of my life is like when I'm in a kitchen, like not my kitchen, but like when I'm at work in a kitchen, following procedures and like being organized and being like, okay, I need to assemble a process to doing this. And then I need to assemble a process to, it's a shared space, like to break down and make sure everything goes back where it needs to be. And I'm very diligent about that at work. But as soon as I get home, all of that is out the window because it's just my space. Like I can, I don't care if it's dirty or whatever. And so one of the great frustrations and like questions of my life is, how do I get that into my regular life? Like, how do I do that?
And I don't know about you, but I've experienced like a lot of like shame and questioning where it's like, okay, I can do this when I'm at the lab, but why can't I do it at home?
Yes.
Oh, I must be faking. I don't have ADHD because I can do it in this environment and not in this environment. Like, oh, I'm faking, but that's not.
It's so true. It's so real.
Yeah.
And I don't have an answer. Like, that's the thing that sucks is like, I have the same exact thing. It's like, oh, well, I'm working in someone else's shop. I have to keep it nice. Like, oh, you know, I'm working here. And then you get home and you're like, why can't I put the thread away at work, but I can't?
Yeah.
Like,
and I think it has to do with like social pressure is a big motivator. Novel environments. Like I was just reading the other day of like ADHD symptoms, one, can fluctuate from day to day, and two, they are less in novel environments. So like if you're going to a doctor to get tested for ADHD, your symptoms are going to be less because it's a new environment and your brain is like, ooh, new things, dopamine, norepinephrine. So like, yeah, if you're in a new environment, you might find that it's a lot easier to do the things than in your like normal everyday environment where everything's boring.
Do you have, okay. Oh, sorry, Erik.
Oh, no, I think thinking about like low arousal theory, which to anybody, I have a video on it, but to anybody listening who hasn't seen that video, basically people with ADHD have lower levels of dopamine and norepinephrine in our head at any given time. And so we're constantly seeking the little bursts of dopamine that happen when we basically experience new stimulus. And so we're constantly seeking new and novel things to get that dopamine burst to try to bring our dopamine back to normal levels. And that can be stimming, that can be like erratic, like paying attention to the thing that's happening outside, just constantly like searching, scanning for new information. I'm talking to somebody who's very educated in neuroscience, so I hope I didn't flub any of that. But understanding that has helped me understand so many different little things that, like, if not knowing about low arousal theory seems sort of disjointed, but knowing that sort of puts them all in the same context. Like, why is it that when I go to a novel situation, my ADHD symptoms are less? It's like, well, because that new stimulus is given, it's provided, it's par for the course. You already are in a place that is saturated with new and novel stimulus. Whereas when I'm in a place that I am frequently, like this room, my ADHD symptoms are the worst they ever are because I'm familiar with every part. Like, I have to constantly be creating that new stimulus. And so
in school, like every new year, like September, you were like, yeah, I'm organized, I'm ready, I'm going to attack this. And like, but then throughout the year, like your organization and your grades, like, slow. Yeah. And I think I just made the connection now as you were talking. I was like, that's because every new school year is like that new novel environment, a new classroom, new classmates, new schedule.
I can literally track that. Like, I save planners. Like, that's a thing that I've done for like a long time is I've saved my planners because like it's kind of fun to like go back and be like, oh, like what was I doing on Thursday on, you know, May 2006, and being like, oh, I was like studying for an exam or whatever. But like I can trace that, like I have proof of that because it's like my first month of school. It's like beautiful boxes and like everything and like bullet journaling and like blah, blah, blah. And then it's like you get to like December and I'm just like history paper, like that's so funny that I like. It's so weird whenever I talk to another person with ADHD because I always feel like I must be the only person who has ever experienced this, and then it's like, no, it's all of us. It's just literally every single one of us. Like, it's fine.
It's wild. It's so validating. I love it. I love that I'm connecting with so many more ADHD people and we're all just like, yeah, me too. Yeah, me too.
It's really freeing, you know? Like, it's like you, like, I don't know if you've had this experience, but like, I've genuinely had the experience of like not feeling as ashamed anymore. Like I'm learning to ask for help, and I'm learning like, it's okay that my house doesn't look like a magazine, but it works for me and that's okay. And like that's something that I think is so valuable that has come out of this experience. But it's also weird because at the same time, I feel like people are like the one looking at me and being like, well, you clearly have your shit together. And I'm like, no, I'm here learning with all of you. Like, I'm just figuring my shit out as I go.
Yeah. Like I think I feel like I haven't posted an ADHD tip video in a while. So I'm sort of like, you know what, actually, I'm just going to show people like what this actually looks like. Like, I am also this way and it's okay. Like, I think that's equally valuable. Like I'm grateful to, well, the two of you, frankly, and all the people that I've interacted with, because they've provided for me that same experience that I'm hopefully providing to them, that we are hopefully providing for them. It's a community, and I love it, and I'm stuttering.
That was a really good end to the podcast, though. Good job, Eric. You nailed it. Hey, Carly, thank you so much for being here with us. We went a little bit over time, shocking nobody, because why? We have ADHD. But we're so appreciative of you joining us. Tell folks where they can find you. What should they follow? What should hype yourself up? Give yourself an ad.
Yeah, oh my God, thank you so much for having me. I had a blast. I want to hang out with you guys all the time. TikTok, ADHaDult. And also Instagram, same name. The band that I mentioned earlier, House Hippo, that's on Spotify if you want to listen to that. It's all in my link on TikTok, though. So just go to the TikTok. Just go to TikTok.
All right, you heard her. ADHaDult on TikTok. Carly, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much, Carly.
And you're great and amazing and awesome.
You're great, amazing, awesome.